What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Nightcap. We have a very not so special
Not
guest with
special,
us.
not special at all.
Aiden Wyatt has returned to the club. What's up,
It's Brittany,
man?
bitch, and I am back.
How's life been? How's life on the other side with the important folk?
Just trying to survive.
Trying to survive my ass. Listen to you. Well, anyways, we're here a little bit early for non-competing reasons whatsoever. Yeah, we just kind of wanted to pump this thing out a little early tonight. So Levi is, I think he's somewhere on a plane currently.
Yeah, he's been on a plane like all day, hasn't he?
Yeah. I have no idea. I don't know when he was actually supposed to leave. All I know is that I had to go to the bullpen to find somebody to jump on a podcast with me. So
deep into the bullpen.
We went deep into, yeah, we ran out of literally relief pitchers, and Aiden was our last one on the bench and had to bring him in. And next week, Nate Schuster is hopping on. So that's going to be an entire podcast of me making fun of him because he no longer has a baseball manager.
Damn shame.
Yeah, Craig Counsell is now a Cub. Did you see that? You saw that on Monday where you like, oh shit?
So honestly, I wanted David Ross to be the manager for the Cubs moving forward.
Yeah.
Because I've always liked him. I think the players like playing for him.
Yeah, I didn't. So I had no ill will toward. Like I was like willing to let David Ross be. How should I say this? The team that had more money spent on it, I was willing to let him have those mistakes that he had this year and coach the team.
And so when I got notification that Counsell is going to the Cubs, I'm like, what about David Ross?
And your heartstrings tugged a little bit.
Yeah, I was texting Noah Wolf, and I think his analogy was like, that's like if you start dating a girl who's hotter than your current girlfriend and just deciding you're done with that other girlfriend.
This is the second time the Cubs have done it, though.
Yeah, they did it with Joe Madden, right?
They did it with Joe Madden, and like they were perfectly fine with Rick Renteria being the manager, and they're like, yeah, well, Joe Madden's out there. So enough with boring everybody with baseball talk, but we're here to talk about some football and the potential growth of a goat inside of Hilton Coliseum this past week or on Monday. So let's start with Kansas here a little bit, but I going into that game during the week, I was like super confident we were going to win, but Saturday morning I woke up and I'm like, this just kind of feels like one of those games that Iowa State drops. And I had no particular reason for it. And yeah, Kansas
seemed like things we got a little too high. We need to settle back a little bit.
And the one thing I really noticed too that was really evident that Kansas was so much quicker than our entire team. Like the speed just to get to the outside by the running backs. I know Kansas didn't have a Kansas Day running the ball, but they really attacked the secondary through the pass game. But it was
Jeremiah Cooper not being out there was
the death of Jeremiah Cooper was extremely evident in this one. So hopefully,
did you see before we move on too far that Isham Young is no longer at Ole Miss?
I did see that. Oh, so anybody know what happened?
He would be a senior this year.
Yep.
Could you imagine if he was still around Iowa State?
Yeah, that secondary.
I mean, you lose Malik Verdon, Jeremiah Cooper, or Bo Freeler. Isham Young is probably the guy who steps in there, but that's a fun hypothetical.
He was probably starting regardless. I don't know.
Yeah,
that'd be a really deep. The thing is, I didn't understand is why they kept turning to Thompson out there. Just like they literally made no effort to sub him out. Like it was like literally like, dude, you're in there no matter what. Like trial by fire the entire game.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
The fire consumed that kid. He had literally no chance.
Credit to Kansas for they went at him. They did not shy away from it. Wherever he was at, you look at their 80-yard touchdown that honestly put the nail in the coffin.
Right where he was.
Tries, and that's
I'll be honest. When they scored that, when we got back within 3, I'm like, this is like we get one stop, it's over. Like we're winning this game. no problem.
I kind of thought the same thing.
They went right for the jugular. Very play.
Yeah, and that's when I kind of thought it was over.
It's one of those things where like you almost just have to do it regardless. Just like if you get into that position, like the control of the game is starting to seep out of your hands. Like, yeah, hit those.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. Kansas was a lot more aggressive in this game than Iowa State was for like the first half. The Iowa State offense was back into that phone booth, waiting for the big play to happen and trying not to make the mistake. And then the mistake happened, the pick six, and pretty much it felt like the game, even before halftime, was on life support. And you knew Iowa State would probably make a run in the second half to somewhat like they did. But it just felt like it was never really a moment other than when they got within 3 in that game that Iowa State really had a chance to win that game. And it was just that I felt not only did they attack Cooper, but the lack of aggression on the offensive side of the ball just was very apparent, and it really cost them. And there's Levi. Yes, Andy. Yes, Kansas did a very good job of setting up that play the entire game. They ran a lot of the similar motions that set up that pass. I don't know. It was at least 7+ times before they even threw that pass. So
yeah, and I mean, you look at the replay of that, and I mean, Blake Thompson shoots down for the run like a bat out of hell, and I mean, it was beautiful play call.
And I think I tweeted right after that play. I'm like, they set that one up in the entire night. So it was there for the taking, and they went for the jugular to get back, seize back control, and it was there. So credit to them. Nothing really bad to say about Kansas, quite honestly. Normally, you really just want to throw the wood at somebody. But yeah, the two things there: coaching, speed, and just having balls in that game. And maybe Iowa State gets there with this current squad. Maybe next year when they're a little bit older and things like that. So the freshman mistakes pretty apparent too. Youth was popping out, but I don't know. It's hard to really be. Oh, yeah, we could talk about the refs. Aiden, you were in the. Were you in the cycle? You were in the radio booth, weren't you?
I wasn't in the radio booth, but like on the media level.
Okay, and what was? I mean, you can't really say much in there, can you, about that kind of stuff? I mean, people probably talked about it, but
I would say it's pretty fair game when that kind of stuff happens. So, I mean, it's tough too because that's not even really a controversial call. It's like they straight up just missed and got it wrong, which it is what it is. At the end of the day, Iowa State didn't score with the ball on the 31-yard line.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that was a tough break for Iowa State for sure.
I guess I was just curious if you were in the radio booth of what John Walter was saying. He was probably calling them like the refs like something like horse shit or I don't know. What's he normally call the refs after?
It's a lot of, oh, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
That's when it's like, it's going to be a rough night.
Bush League. I think they said that before. I think somebody tweeted it out what John Walters actually said on the radio, and I can't remember what it was. Yeah, and that's the worst part about it is as pissed off as everybody was after the game. I mean, it changed it obviously, but Iowa State was literally in scoring position and got 0 points. So at the end of the day, you had an opportunity deep inside the opponent's territory and literally came away with nothing. So it's what it is. It's a double-edged sword really on that particular play in itself. And some of these other penalties that Iowa State had, a lot of them were felt borderline. It almost felt like Iowa State was playing a basketball game inside Lawrence Fieldhouse in the first half there for a little bit for things that were going against them. And some of them, definitely you could tell Iowa State, deserved the penalties, but some of them were just like, come on, man. So second half.
What did you think of the I can't remember. I think they call it unnecessary roughness.
On Samuel Sames,
where it was like out of bounds and the ref fell over.
Oh no! So that wasn't. So Samuel Sames was the one after that.
Okay,
it was probably later in that quarter where he literally he picked up the Kansas guy and kind of threw him in the ground. Like everybody was pissed off at that point from the earlier unnecessary roughness.
Yeah, so
the ref one wasn't.
The ref one. So
the guy when the guy fell, it was just like the guy literally fell and everyone slipped and it was just like everyone's like, what do we do? Oh, let's just throw a flag, you know?
So honestly, from my perspective, I kind of thought he suplexed him on it, which is why they called it unnecessary roughness and not like late hit out of bounds. Like I think
On the one that the ref slipped.
yeah.
Oh,
It was
okay.
like he kind of picked him up.
I'm thinking of the one that where he suplexed him because Samuel's saying the defensive end for Iowa State, that's his name, right? Yeah. He like literally picked up the Kansas guy and it looked like he like basically rock bottomed to hell on the
Yeah, you
sideline.
can't do that.
Yeah, so everyone like at that point in time was just like, "Oh, what are you doing, refs? You fucking suck."
Right.
No, I mean, dude, this guy was trying to fucking hit him with the DDT to win WrestleMania on the sideline. So it's like, yeah, that one he definitely deserved that one. So yeah, I guess I didn't really see the replay of the one, but like I saw like the ref slip and then I saw a replay of the other people slipping. So I'm like, I don't know. It's always tough, really. I mean, on those sideline ones that they call unnecessary roughness.
It's almost a judgment call.
Right.
I mean, I get there's rules around it, but
should have gone with the stunner. Yes, 100% should have gone with the stunner. Levi, since you're on a plane, right? What's the update? Where are we at right now? Are we like where the Titanic sunk? Like, is like the plane gonna like crinkle like a pop can like that submarine did, or like where are we at right now?
Seeing communist country yet?
Yeah, are you in China? Like, or I guess did you even fly straight out in the Atlantic? Which way'd you go? What was the layover like? Where'd you get layover at? Grab some Chick-fil-A along the way. Currently over. Oh,
well, you didn't make it very far at all. Currently over Lake Michigan. Jesus. What are you doing, pal?
What do you got? Like the slowest plane?
Are you walking to Europe?
Yeah. What are you in a boat? You a paddle boat? Did you fly out of Chicago? I'm guessing you flew out of Chicago.
Yeah.
Chicago to New York, then over. What's the scoop? Even though this is great radio, we're talking to Levi walking, right. Or he's, like I said, Levi's flying to Kansas, or not Kansas, Europe right now. Plane is powered by a cyclist. He's got that Lance Armstrong plane going right now.
So how do you the vibes were pretty high for Iowa State coming into last weekend. How have they changed for you?
I'll be honest. I was a lot more worried about the going and playing, and I'm still worried about going to playing in the. I'm more scared about playing the atmosphere and the elements at BYU than I am the team. But I was, like I said, I woke up Saturday morning, felt like Iowa State was going to lose that game. Going all week, I was just super confident about Iowa State winning that game. Night game, home at Jack Trice Stadium. Brock Purdy is going to be in attendance. We got the black jerseys. Everything.
They overdid it.
Yeah, something. Like I think that's what my mindset was on Saturday. Like everyone's got all the hype because of these four things, and it's just like it felt like it's a total Iowa State thing where you have all this build up and it's a total letdown. Like you can look back to the greatest team that we ever had for, with Brock Purdy. Then you have College Game Day coming for the Cyhawk. It's like a thing like that. They're wearing the white and black combo for the jerseys. ABC national primetime game or big or afternoon game for the Cyhawk game. Letdown. Kansas primetime ESPN. Everything. It just. I don't know. Maybe that's the bad Cyclone fan in me thinking that way. But, the whole ride down to Ames on Saturday, I was just like, God, this just feels like one they're going to drop. Now, that said, 3 games left in the season. Iowa State sits at 5-4. And technically, if you want to play the technical game, Iowa State is still in position to make the Big 12 championship game. And considering where they were 2 months ago, that's still kind of fun to say. So,
yeah, honestly, this is Matt Campbell's best coaching job since he's been here.
Yep,
and
for sure.
I thought he was kind of a walk away for the Big 12 Coach of the Year going into last weekend. But after seeing Lance Leipold and the fellas last weekend, I think
I think he's got that pretty well locked up.
And honestly, I think Matt Campbell slid to third with Gunny getting a win over OU this weekend. So
yeah, and it's really hard because I'll put Kansas, Oklahoma State, and Iowa State kind of in the same category. And it's not because they're both kind of in different tiers right now because Iowa State fell down a peg after losing to Kansas. Yep. But Oklahoma State doesn't have the talent that they once had. Kansas is still kind of up and coming. They are gaining talent because of the recruiting efforts. The recruiting is a lot better than what it was. And Iowa State literally just went through a recruiting scandal and lost a bunch of starters and had to literally rebuild this entire team with a bunch of young youth. And all three of these coaches are probably you could argue last year for Lance Leipold was his best coaching job to just get Kansas to a bowl game, but he's taken it to another level. Mike Gundy was literally left for dead, and has resurrected himself as a not being fired at Oklahoma State and has a team that's in first place for the Big 12. And Matt Campbell, a season ago going 4-5, and now has a team that is at 5-4 right now with 3 cracks at getting to a bowl game, which this is the toughest part of their schedule with Texas and Kansas State coming up and a trip to BYU, because that's nothing to slouch at. But I just hope they get to that 6th win, because I wouldn't say 5-7 is necessarily a failure on Matt Campbell's part, considering what they dealt with. But it just feels like he's done such a good job of rallying this team together and getting the most out of these freshmen that it just got to get to that 6th win. Mm-hmm. And so it just feels a little more vindicated. So
yeah, if Iowa State makes a bowl at 5-7, it's like, hey, all right, they got it done, but it's not the same as really qualifying for a bowl.
Yeah. So 9:15 kickoff at BYU. That sucks. But
I didn't realize that it's only an hour different.
Yep, it's an hour difference.
Because I always thought, they have.
And the thing is with BYU, they always have the late kicks. It was just an hour difference, so it'd be 8:15 there. That's still late in terms of primetime games. Mm-hmm. That just fits the ESPN window though, because some of those games that start at the 6, like we did last week, it just shelters right in there for an hour, 15 minutes, or 3 hours and 15 minutes after. It fits in. So yeah, that's gonna be a rough night, but it's gonna be a tough atmosphere that Iowa State's going into. And we'll just kind of shift this to, instead of talking about Kansas for so much longer, we'll shift this into BYU. But yeah, tough atmosphere. It always is with not only the elements, but they really do pack the fans in there. And they have a history of winning a lot of big games at their home field there. This team this year for BYU is not, how should I say this, playing
not
well.
To BYU standards.
Yeah, it's not to BYU standards, which is funny because their head coach has a 68-21 record at BYU, and they're sitting at 5-4 right now. And I've been seeing BYU fans on Twitter just clamoring for this guy to be shit canned. So I'm just it's like. That. Well, this one, he was like, "Oh, this program isn't up to the standards we used to." I'm like, "Dude, you're 5-4. You've just switched conferences. It's up. I mean, I know BYU is playing a lot of tough teams out there, and playing Notre Dame's and Texas and Baylor every year. That they would do, but it's still a consistent step up in programs that they're playing. So it's like you're gonna shit can your head coach that has a 68-21 record because you're mad after one. You could literally make a bowl game. I don't know who their final 2 games are, but
I think
they play Oklahoma and Oklahoma State.
Right? Yeah,
that's brutal.
Yeah. So I want to get your thoughts on this. So obviously it's BYU's first year in the Big 12.
Yep.
And Kalani Sitake has been awesome for BYU.
Mm-hmm.
But then you go to Houston, and it's his, like I said, first year in the Big 12. So it's kind of a grace period in my mind. But then you go down to Houston, and it's kind of the same spot for Daniel Holgorsen. But they haven't been great these last couple of years. Do you get rid of him?
I think the thing that's working against Daniel Holgorsen is that what the year prior to last year, what they were like a 10-2 or 11-1. I think that's right. They had a lot of wins that year, and then they literally fell on their face flat last year. And then this year, obviously, going to the Big 12, he's had a little bit of an uptick of pressure here. But yeah, that's a tough. I don't know. I think you almost give the guy one more year. I don't think you need to be making any rash judgments. It's kind of like the same conversation that Cincinnati fans have had about Andy Satterfield. Yeah.
Satterfield.
Is it Satterfield? I don't know.
Whatever. Whoever it is out there.
God dang. It's hard to keep track. This is going to get bad when we have like 16, when we have the 16 teams.
Yeah, we had it easy with just 10 teams.
What are we going to be at? 16, yeah. Shit. What is their name? Cincinnati Bearcats. So somebody's probably put this in the chat by now, and I'm probably Scott Satterfield. I don't know why I said Andy Satterfield. Yeah, there it is. Tracks. Thanks. Levi says Holgerson is very gone. As much as I probably believe that, I mean, I'd almost just be like, give him a shot. Now Malzahn, interesting. I've heard, UFC fans haven't been too thrilled with it. They, like a lot of us, thought they'd be a lot better in the new Big 12 started firing off here, and they haven't really lived up to that par. So that's an interesting name to watch. And I will
honestly, like UCF, I thought might have been the best prepared for moving up to Power 5 just because of Gus Malzahn. So if they have
that,
to start
and their recruiting efforts have been on par with some of the Power 5 schools. So Malzahn probably on watch, but he also has I think you'd have the best chance out of these between him and Holgerson to turn it around quicker.
Yeah, it's just kind of weird that you can apply the 1 year grace period to BYU, but you can't really apply that to Houston. Just because it's totally different situations, I think.
I don't know. I think Houston's kind of got their eyes on basketball more right now than anything. I feel like they just, I don't know. Holgerson's not a bad coach. I don't know if you just, after 1 year, you'd be like, and I don't know where the recruiting is on par for. And it's like, and I don't even know if there's really that much. We've had our friends from, we had our Houston friends, and I'll just call them that, on here talking about it. And the fans.
You got too many things for you to remember now.
Yeah, this is crazy. He was explaining the fan support can be there, but it's not there at the same time when you have football games and things like that. So I don't know if there's a whole lot of Houston fans clamoring for walking around outside their stadium with picket signs of fire Dana Holgerson. So it's probably easy for us to assume that he'll probably be shit canned, but it's also like you look at just give him 1 more year suit up. It's not like he's an idiot. He's won everywhere he's gone. He's won in the Big 12 before. He hates fans rushing the field.
Yeah,
don't have to worry about that right now for a little while.
He's just the biggest hater of all time.
He can take it for a little bit. Middle Florida State yellow fighty guys. I like that one. That's a good one. Houston is the Cougars.
Just in case you forgot.
Larry's mom is a Cougar.
Shout out
Larry's mom.
So how do you feel about Iowa State heading into his last 3 games?
Well,
honestly, in my head, it's Pico will win at BYU. Texas is a toss-up. K-State's probably a loss. And I'm saying something crazy is going to happen against Texas. That's just why I think it's a toss-up.
You're playing the Jack Trice factor.
I'm playing the Jack Trice night game. That's my wild card there.
Remember that? Well, see, that's the thing. I played the Jack Trice night game in my head.
I saved mine. I didn't play it.
So you're going to be let down this game. I'm not.
Exactly. Yep.
I don't know how that's going to work, but Disney State University. I like that one. Yeah, I'm
bottom line, this is Iowa State's best chance to get the 6th win.
Correct. And I'm almost in my head, I'm labeling it as a must win. Because I think the last 2 games on Iowa State's schedule, and this is being unbiased, I think the last 2 games are a loss for Iowa State. Now out of the two, I think the Texas game is the most realistic that you could snag a win just because of the factor of being at home and whatever. They're going to get up to play Texas. Everybody does. But Texas is certainly a lot more talented than us and is by all purposes so far being coached a lot better than a lot of the teams in the Big 12. And that's saying something considering the coaches that they have gone through over the last 10, 15 years. And Kansas State, real tough going on the road there. I mean, the year we beat them there on the road, we just pounded it into them with Brees Hall and Brock Purdy. And they just weren't a real good team at that year. And then obviously the year before that, I think we beat the shit out of them during the COVID time. So, it's always close when we play Kansas State. But we have certainly taken our lickings here in the last 10, 15 years from there as well. So tough thing to happen. But yeah, I'm labeling this BYU as a must win. And it certainly spells out for Iowa State to be able to have some success offensively, because I think you cannot go into the BYU atmosphere and do what you did in the first half against Kansas. You cannot wait for the game to come to you. You're going to have to come out like they did against Cincinnati and Baylor and just put the foot on the pedal and just step on it all the way through the first half. Because really, you look at it, this game kind of, and I said the same thing about last week, going against Kansas's defense, and it seemed like Kansas really did a good job with stopping Iowa State's run. And it's not that Iowa State's some world beater in the run game, but literally BYU cannot stop the run. They are averaging around 5 yards per rush, literally one of the worst marks in the country. Teams are rushing for nearly 200 yards on them, and then through the air, it's almost 7 yards per pass, which is it's all right.
300 yards rushing last week against West Virginia.
Yeah, that could be. And they have given up in almost every single game 30 points, except for like maybe the first game. So they're getting torched defensively, and they are struggling offensively. So they can't run the ball. They can hardly pass the ball. And Caden Slovis is possibly hurt / competing for his starting job.
Yeah, that's really interesting. What's this other kid's name?
I just saw it earlier today here,
so I don't want to get it wrong. But
yeah, so Jake Retzlaff.
Yeah,
he's actually going to start this game, and he came out of. He's a junior college transfer. Where did he come out of? Let's see. Retzlaff will make a second straight start after played the whole way against BYU or in West Virginia. Where did Jake Retzlaff? Let's see where he came from. BYU's Jewish quarterback.
Yeah, I was just gonna say first Jew to ever start at quarterback for BYU.
What's the most famous quarterback that you can name from
Jimmy
BYU?
McMahon.
There we go. Attaboy. I knew you had it in you. Where the hell did he play? Oh, here we go. Riverside Community College in California. Widely considered as the top JUCO quarterback in the country in the sophomore season. Yeah, so literally this kind of sets up rushing wise like the same way this game he did against Kansas. Like this team cannot play in the phone booth. It has to be aggressive offensively and just take control of this game from the start, because if they don't, the atmosphere will eat them up at BYU. This BYU team is not that good, but it's just the fact that Iowa State likes to play down in this crater of let's not do anything bad. And we went through this whole progression of the season where Iowa State and Matt Campbell were saying we have to earn the right to play well or earn the right to have the ability to take control of the game. And then they went through that moment where, we earned that right offensively to do the things that we do. And then against Kansas, they went right back into not earning that right. So I'm with you there, Levi. That's why I keep saying, like, I'm more worried about the elements of Utah and the atmosphere of BYU Stadium than actual BYU's football team.
It's kind of interesting, if Iowa State goes to Allen Fieldhouse or something, it's like, oh man, that's a tough place to play. Crowd's really into it. It's just a tough place to play. But you go to Utah and it's like, no, it's actually like physically a tough place to play. Ball's gonna go flying though. Rocco might be able to throw it 85 yards.
Can anybody run under it? We're going to find out.
I do want to circle back to your must-win game scenario type thing. It's kind of interesting, if I would say loses to BYU and then you lose to Texas and you lose to K-State and you're in a 4-game losing streak, maybe you make a bowl, who knows? But even if you beat BYU, you get to 6-6, and you lose the last 3, I feel like the vibes are still a lot better.
Yeah,
than if
and
they were to lose to BYU.
and I guess and this kind of goes back to what I said too. Like, I feel like if Iowa State were to finish 5-7, I don't feel like in the terms of everything that's happened to this team in the last 12 months, it's not a complete failure.
Mhm.
It's just that I feel like you're one game away from 6. Like, you need to get that 6-6 or the 6 win, let's just say, to have the effort by this coaching staff feel a little more vindicated, because I feel if they get to that 5-7 mark and they don't make a bowl game, there's going to be some people out there like, well, we left something on the table, blah, blah, blah. Matt Campbell missed this. Matt Campbell did this. While that certainly may be true, it's just, I don't think it's going to really show the true strides that they made at one as a coaching staff and as a team this year to just really be in that spotlight of actually accomplishing something great. It's just always going to have a little bit of a, you might have people going, oh, if we just beat Ohio, we wouldn't be in this position. Yeah, well, that may be true, but
that Ohio loss might have been the best thing that ever happened to this team.
Yeah, the Ohio loss and our friend here, and this is the I kind of wanted to play this last week, but this is the guy that changed this.
Come on, Campbell, get after him! Hey, Campbell, what are you doing? You're on the hot seat. You're on the hot seat.
I'm pretty sure I just heard bitch in there. I think that's like the last. This is the first time I've watched that in probably like a month and a half. Like, I heard Campbell.
Did you hear he was in attendance last
Saturday? I heard.
I had like 4 people text me saying like, "Hey, I just saw the guy who told Campbell he was on the hot seat." Like, I thought he was in jail. No, he's not.
I saw that dude get kicked out of the lots on Saturday. So
what was he doing now?
Maybe he probably went to like the Ames PD. You're on the hot seat.
That's a guy who lives life 10 minutes at a time, figuring it out as he goes.
Yeah, see, this is exactly what I was just talking about. Like, so they're always going to go back. Like, sure, the loss was bad, but here's the thing with the Ohio game. It forced the Iowa State coaching staff on the offensive side of the ball to actually open up their minds and be a little more open-minded to the skills of the team and do what was necessary to make some changes to actually win some football games offensively. The last 2 seasons, that had for sure not happened. Yeah. And I don't even think it's ever happened in the Matt Campbell era offensively. We just had a lot more talent than we currently do now that it was able to be negated in those issues. So, while, yeah, like I said, if you finish 5-7, we're always going to come back and people are going to say, well, if you would have won that Ohio game, yeah, okay, great. But it also changed a lot of things for this football team too. So it's
almost as if we had 2 seasons this year.
Yep.
The first 3 games and then the last, well, I guess it'll end up being the last 9, but the last 6 since then.
Yeah, and I said this too after the TCU game. It kind of felt like, well, that's when Iowa State really decided or really was able to start running the ball a little bit. And I was afraid that they would fall back into that realm of not being open-minded on offense. And they really haven't done that yet. But this Kansas game felt like they really fell into that hole until the second half when they let Rocco kind of open it up downfield a little bit. So I hope that's
12 for 13 or something in the second half.
Yeah, 20 for 27 the entire game, and obviously the big mistake was the pick 6, and he stared down that receiver the whole way. Like, everybody knew that was gonna be a pick right when that ball went out of his hand.
Yeah, it was kind of like, I don't know if there was miscommunication or what, but it was almost an uncharacteristically bad throw.
Yeah, and that, I think, out of the terms of all the throws that Rocco has made this year, that 9 to 10 yard out route has been his one that he's struggled on. At least this one where he threw the pick, they threw it to the short yard of the field for it's a shorter throw for him to make and kind of rocket it in there. Against Iowa on that same type of play where the pick 6 happened, he literally threw it across the entire field just to make it there, and it floated in the air forever. This one was a little bit more of a laser. And the credit to the corner, he really jumped on it and got there before I believe it was Jaden Higgins. And Jaden Higgins really got bottled up in this game too. So Kansas really did a good job defensively of really limiting Iowa State from even getting in the rhythm whatsoever. So, and that certainly played a factor into the first half woes a little bit. It just, I would have liked a lot more shots downfield in the first half to kind of open it up and maybe get some lanes in the run game, but they just never did it. So can't do that against BYU.
Correct.
Can't do that against BYU. Let's see. Got absolutely shit on because we had we're talking about the Camping World Bowl. Levi says that is the worst game in the Campbell era. It's the 2019 Camping World Bowl.
I'm kind of with him that was the worst loss of the Campbell era.
Yeah, that just felt like you were getting beat with a shovel the entire game. That's
But
like the most. That's like
he's right too. That was such an overmatched game for Notre Dame.
If we were in the Big Ten West, we'd be already bowl eligible. Yeah.
While we're talking Big Ten West, that Ohio loss was mainly important because Iowa hasn't had an Ohio loss for them to be like, we really need to change something.
Well, I mean,
they have no reason to change.
They really did change something, though.
I mean, they did, but they didn't.
Yeah, it's going to be the same for the last 3 games, no matter what.
Yep. So be grateful that the Iowa State staff will change sometimes.
Yeah, I'd be really interested to see. Well, I mean, if Kirk Ferentz is for sure coming back next year, it's not going to change. It doesn't matter. I mean, they could. You know what they're going to do? Iowa's going to hire Paul Chryst.
So you're going to say Paul Rhodes?
No, they're going to hire
offensive genius Paul Rhodes.
Yeah, they're going to hire Paul Chryst. Is going to be the next coordinator for Iowa, and they're going to do the same thing, but it's just going to be a little bit better because Paul Chryst is not. I actually advocated for Paul Chryst to become the Iowa State offensive coordinator last year.
Yeah, he'd be perfect for Iowa, especially if Kirk Ferentz is on his way out. He can just hang around for 3-4 years, whatever it is.
I mean, it's not like Paul Chryst is not a bad football coach. It's just that Wisconsin actually had the balls to fire him because we're doing the same thing every year and not getting any better and losing ground on Ohio State and all these other teams.
Yeah,
where Iowa's just like, yeah, whatever.
Big Ten West till we die.
Yep, ride or die, Big Ten West, baby. They probably got. You think Kirk Ferentz and Brian Ferentz have Big Ten West tattoos on their ass cheeks?
Have to.
It only makes sense.
Tramp stamps.
Wonder where Brian Ferentz goes next.
Honestly, so actually, what if Brian Ferentz isn't that bad of a coach? He's a great offensive line coach. That's been proven.
Are you saying he's held back by his father?
I'm saying he might be held back by his father. That's
interesting.
Because everyone is saying the offense isn't going to change till Kirk Ferentz leaves. What if Brian Ferentz is just some mastermind?
So now Brian
will let him cook.
Brian is being held back by his father, and he's the scapegoat for Kirk right now. And when he hires a new offensive coordinator and it still sucks, there's no longer a scapegoat.
Exactly.
Interesting times in Iowa City ahead. I think we just broke some news. Back to subsidized housing for Brian Ferentz.
But I think he'll land somewhere as an offensive line or tight end coach. He'll be fine. As much as people want to hate him.
Speaking of landing something great, I think Iowa State might have the next greatest basketball player on their roster right now.
Yeah, and it's not the McDonald's All-American.
It is not. His name is Milan Momcilovic.
Momcilovic.
Chill. You gotta have to chill. Yeah, I always forget that.
It's like I think John Walters said, "Mom's chilling on a beach."
I did see that one. Did you? Those before we dive into him a little bit more, but those ESPN Plus guys had a tough time getting his name. Oh,
I didn't watch it on TV.
Horrendous. Like they said his name about 30 different ways, and like the first time the guy touched Milan touched the ball, he's like Milan shit.
Fuck it.
Basically in the middle of like when he's talking on the game, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be rough. And the best part was after the game was over, they interviewed him, and he didn't say his last name whatsoever. They're like, you had a great game today, Milan.
Good Good job, guy.
Good job, shooter.
Yeah, he can shoot. He's got kind of
Yeah.
an interesting release. It's
Mhm.
similar to AJ Green, where it's kind of over his head and tough to block.
I'm really interested to see though if he is. I mean, in a game in college level, if it's just that he has to have his feet set no matter what, and he can knock it down no matter what. Because that one he did have on the sideline where he kind of like faded on a 3,
Mhm.
and it was like
One where he was fading kind of left. Is that the one you're talking about?
yeah for the three
That was
pointer.
yeah. I didn't think he was gonna shoot it.
Yeah, and I'm like, that kind of looked awkward, but he has like a kind of an awkward shot anyways. But
Yeah.
it's like that kind of looked awkward, like he didn't want to do that, but he just did it anyways because he's like, I'm Milan, I can just fucking shoot this.
E-check,
Yeah.
baby.
But he did have like the baby, he did have the Dirk Nowitzki like shot on the sideline at the
Yeah.
baseline where he like did the spin around and like the lean back. I'm like, oh god, man, this guy's baby Dirk right now. Like there ain't nothing stopping him. I don't know. I guess we'll see if he can string. I know this is very low competition, like Lindenwood tomorrow. Like, come on now. But
Yeah, I think
it's
Green Bay was like a bottom 6 or
Ken
7
Palm
team in the
team.
country.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's just like, but again, those are the type of the games in the past years that Iowa State kind of like just fucked around and like didn't just beat the crap out of in the non-conference schedule. Like this Iowa State team just beat the crap out of them because they were bigger, faster, stronger. And that's the thing I really struck out to me. I know it was Green Bay, but this team just has length. I mean, they're not necessarily taller than what we've had in the past, but they just got length and athleticism all over the floor. And like the speed is noticeably different than last year. The guard play obviously is going to be better than last year, but offensively for sure. I think defense we may not be as great. You could kind of see that a little bit on Monday night, but defensively we're really going to miss Gabe Coucher. I kind of kept thinking that in my head.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see who will be Iowa State's best defender this year. Because every game last year it was
Gabe
was their best shooter. All right, yeah, Coucher's on him.
Yep. I don't know. I mean, TJ really thinks that Taman Lipsey is one of the better on-ball defenders in the country. Maybe it's time to see if that even is true. I mean, he's not bad. We know that. I guess we're just gonna really see what Keyshawn Gilbert has, if he really is good defender.
Gilbert.
Keyshawn,
as the kids say, nice with it.
Nice with it. Yeah, he's
that boy.
Speed,
real nice with
foot speed, getting to the hoop. That's something we haven't had in the first 2 years under Otzelberger. Bob Jones was out there wreaking havoc.
He is just a ball of chaos, whether you like it or not.
He is here to play. Bob, you don't find Bob Jones. Bob Jones finds you. Put that on a t-shirt.
That's this is the perfect year for Rob Jones. Where
he doesn't have to play that much.
Kind of the third guy in that big man rotation, which no disrespect, but when it was him and Condit, 2 years ago, to have him as the backup was not ideal. And then last year, kind of the same with Shun, although he was good off the bench to guard on ball, which Shun kind of lacked in. But yeah, he's in a great spot to get 8-10 minutes a game and just
do Rob Jones
with his hair on fire. Yeah.
Yep.
But they took away big Rob energy in Hilton. When he comes in, it's just Robert Jones.
Oh.
Then a golf clap.
Maybe
big Rob energy.
Maybe they're just like, that was a little too much, and maybe that affected his play a little bit.
Not enough.
Yeah, and then speaking of other post players, Omaha Blue, obviously wasn't the greatest debuts of the world, but it just felt like he was pressing, just trying to do a little too much. I don't know. That's kind of where
Iowa State fans need to forget the first game.
Yeah, I don't think that's
people already calling it quits on him.
But you could just tell, like, he was just trying to do too much when he didn't need to. Like, he's a high caliber player that on a team that doesn't have like the dudes that the Iowa State appears to have right now. Like, sure, he should try to press it and do too much, but he doesn't have to.
Yeah,
like he can just go out there and ease into it and just play ball. And it just looked like he was trying to be the guy at Waukee last year when he doesn't need to be the guy at Waukee. Maybe he doesn't know any better. I don't know. But he just, if he slows it down,
He'll be
just
fine.
plays
He'll be
plays
fine.
within the game, I think
Yeah.
it's going to be just fine. That's the one thing I noticed about him. Like, you could just tell, like, there's the physical attributes are there. He's got the speed, he's got the height, he's got everything, the motor. It's just that it was just pressing. He was just pressing. Just a freshman trying to make an impact in his first game. So, yeah, I guess I didn't see too much on people jumping off in Omaha. Where was that at?
I saw some people on Twitter, and I've talked to a few people that are saying Omaha is a bust.
Oh boy. Well,
but here's the thing: is Omaha isn't gonna average 30 points a game.
No,
he's probably not even gonna average 10 points a game.
Yeah, we'll be lucky he gets 8.
Somewhere between 7 and 9 points per game, probably.
Yeah,
and he's gonna be a first round pick.
Yeah,
that's just the way the NBA is.
Yep,
it's all about potential.
Yep, and if he's averaging 7, 8, 9 points a game. And Milan is in around the 10-2 as well. And then you got Taman and Gilbert and all those guys. I mean, at the end of the year, who do you think is going to be the leading scorer for this team?
I really like Keyshawn Gilbert. I think Curtis Jones, he had a kind of a rough debut.
Yeah, he did too.
But,
yeah.
Apparently he can shoot the lights out. So if he's hitting couple threes a game, maybe I don't think Iowa State's leading scorer is going to be more than 14 or 15 points per game. I mean, what was Jaron Holmes last year?
In that range,
17, 18, but
I think they have more guys that can get to that 14-point range altogether.
Yeah, that's the difference between this year's teams and the previous 2 years of the Altenberger era, where
because
you don't have one guy that you're just hoping can get hot. Because if Isaiah Brockington had an off night, is like, well, there's no chance Iowa State wins.
Right. And like Milan had 18, then Gilbert had 17, I think, and then Taman had 14 points, I think, and then somebody had 12. So there was 4 or 5 people in double figures, just kind of in that same category. And that's another thing that stuck out to me is like, you don't know. I mean, we don't know who the leading scorers could be. Just felt like any of them could be.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we'll kind of know more about it by the end of the day on Sunday. And next week we'll have Nate Schuster on here to talk a little bit more about it. Give him 3 games to talk about. I mean, you can't really pick a whole lot out, with the competition that we're playing now, but 3 games is at least a decent sample size to kind of see some things from this Iowa State basketball team. Mm-hmm. Women's team. Did you go to the game on Monday?
I did. Yeah.
Thoughts there?
A lot of screaming kids. They just scream for no reason.
Well, there's field trip.
Be like a timeout, and they're just going nuts.
But that is a pretty unique thing that not many other schools, or really probably no other school does, is field trip day.
Yeah, it is kind of cool. But Addie Brown is going to be really good for Iowa State. I don't know how good she'll be this year, but she has got kind of the vibe of the Bridget Carltons, the Ashley Jones. I mean, Ashley Jones is going to be the best player Iowa State ever has, I think. But yeah, she was a McDonald's All-American. She's gonna be a stud. And it's weird because Fenley's been here for 28 years or whatever.
Forever.
And it's almost as if you're approaching it as TJ's first year, where it was like no expectations.
Yeah, whatever happens.
Yeah. So I think, like I said, it's kind of weird saying that for Bill Fenley, who's probably on the back half of his career anyway.
Well, I wouldn't say this is probably the first time this has happened for him this way. I mean, we've had a lot of years where the women's team has taken a little bit of a step back. And I'm not saying this team's going to take a step back by any means, but teams that Bill Fenley has had that have missed the tournaments, and then, the next year they come back.
Yeah, they'll make a Sweet 16 or whatever,
So he's been through this before.
Yeah.
Not to the degree of having people transfer out left and right, because it's just because he's graduated so much. So a little bit of difference there just because of the transfers. But yeah, he's got impressive freshman class has come in.
Yeah.
You know,
Did you watch the game?
I did not. Some of us
So
are poor
someone to
old
keep
folk.
your eye on is Isnell Notabo, I think is how you say it. She's transferred from Sacramento State
At the
via
post player.
Iowa Western. Yeah. She is. I think she's gonna be.
She had the red hair tips.
Yep.
Okay.
That's
Yep.
easy one to remember. Yep. But she is built like a brick shithouse, man. I mean,
Didn't the Jackson girl start at point guard?
yep.
That's
That's Kendall Jackson's sister.
that's what I thought. Okay.
Right
And
at Dwayne
then
Roosevelt.
did the girl from Bishop Garrigan, did she played quite a bit too, didn't she?
Yep, Audie Crooks.
Audie
She didn't
Crooks, right?
start, but yeah, she had one rough stretch where I think she had a turnover and got beat down the floor and had I think a second turnover. But
Up close and personal there.
it was her first game, so you know she'll adjust, kind of like.
And that's
Omaha,
not like
where-
it's not really like a typical first game either. It's like Butler.
Well, there's
I
a
mean,
legit team. It wasn't
yeah,
some slapdick, you know, you get from
yeah.
the
That's
WAC.
a little bit different there, you know, for at least for Iowa State standards of playing the first game. It's like, hey, why don't you go play Butler?
Yeah. So and remember Madison Wise, Maddie Wise?
Yep.
She was an assistant coach for Butler. So
Oh, really?
circle. Yeah.
Interesting. Kind of like what's oh my god, I am blanking on it. He went to coach at Davidson for wrestling.
Oh, Nate. Oh, you're thinking of Marcus Coleman. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Woo. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
You know who their head coach is, right? Davidson.
Davidson's? No.
It's Nate Carr Jr. So David's older brother. Nate Carr Senior's son, if you will.
I'm seeing how it's going.
That. I've seen how your gears are turning tonight. So
yeah, it's kind of funny. It's just kind of, you know, college kids going into coaching right now. Did you see the field hockey head coach for North Carolina, the women's?
Erin Matson, I think is her name.
So she won 4 national titles at North Carolina. Graduated. The head coach for the field
I don't
hockey
even think
team,
she graduated.
Well,
she was
the field
about
hockey
to graduate.
Coach, yeah, the field hockey coach
got the job.
Retired, and then they hired the player that was done playing at North Carolina, and then now she just won the ACC tournament.
Yeah, I think they're the number 1 team in the country too.
I saw that this morning.
It's incredible.
I'm like, that ain't true. So I started Wikipedia, and I'm like, oh my god, it's true.
Yeah, she's like the greatest player in field hockey history. It's like if Michael Jordan, which I guess staying in UNC, if he just started coaching basketball after he was done at North Carolina.
It'd be like Rob Jones taking over Iowa State basketball.
Exactly. Another great example. Yes.
Yeah. See, if TJ said, I'm done with this place, and Big Rob's like, you know, I got you.
I got this.
And then he leads Iowa State to a Big 12 title next year. Right? Get the script writers on this right now.
Be
the true underdog story. Who would be his assistant coach? Would we have to get it'd have to be Jeff Beverly.
Yep. And Hans Brace probably in there too.
Hans Brace as the perimeter defense coach. That'd be a hell of a coaching staff. Who'd be the shooting coach? Jeff Beverly. Boy.
Yeah. Yeah. That mid-range jumper, man.
From the corner, Easton Dean, next Iowa State head coach. Levi would quit. I always laugh like the week like Levi like just beats the shit out of like verbally like Easton Dean, and then comes out and like does something crazy like to help them win. I'm just like, suck it, Levi. I have nothing against Easton Dean, but he always seems
to stuff against Levi. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like every time Levi just goes on a rampage about Easton Dean, the next week he just comes out and does something. Like I think the week of the I think it was TCU when the tight ends really got involved in like the run blocking. Like Abu Sama's long run, like Easton Dean was coming up the hole and just obliterated this dude. I'm just like, yeah, suck it, Levi. Speak of the devil, there he is. So he's alive in a plane, still listening. Levi, I need to know before we end this thing. Are you landing in like New York or something and then taking off? Like, what's the scoop? What time do you take off from wherever you're going? I need to know because I need to call that country and let them know to detain you. Somewhere in a couple 100 miles north of Montreal. Okay, that doesn't answer my question. Where are you going? Hello, Canada. Yes, we got a guy with a bunch of drugs up his anus. You
Yeah, you're
please
going to want to search him.
just search. Trust us. You might like it. He's not going to answer, is he?
Anyway, I want to shout out Naidu.
Oh,
She was awesome on Monday. She's gonna be awesome for Iowa State too this year.
so you flew out of Chicago straight to London, I'm guessing, and then you landed in London and go to Prague. Prague. I don't even know how you say it. I think it's Prague.
It's Prague.
Prager.
Prague.
It is Prague. You say it in German, you say it Prague.
Prague.
In Latin, it's Prague up. In Czech, it's Praha.
Look at that. We're learning something tonight.
That is this is other languages lessons by Matthias Schwarzkopf. To inform the country that they need to have a case of Ames Lager waiting for Levi. No, we're not going to be that nice to Levi.
Never.
It's pronounced Matthias's mom's house.
Oh
God! Get him. All right, Aiden, you got an official score prediction. Are you allowed to do that thing? Are you allowed to give official score predictions?
Not really.
Okay, never mind then. Screw you.
I would say 1,000.
I don't know your rules. I just know there's rules that surround you for now.
I think Iowa State gets it done.
Come for the Matthias language lessons. Stay for the shitty cone takes. Yeah, I find it funny now that every basketball game that happens inside Hilton, somebody is tagging me in a picture of clone cones. No matter what.
You brought this to yourself.
Yeah, it's just again, I don't hate ice cream. It's just that I wish they
would
like
happiness is what you hate.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm a Bears fan. I'm a Cyclone fan. I'm just a glutton for punishment, man.
And I was so mean to us.
I was so excited, like to finally not have Tyson Bagent playing quarterback tomorrow, and they're like, "Nah, we're gonna still play Tyson Bagent."
I'm gonna be honest. Iowa State's playing. I'm probably not watching much of the Bears game tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have so in my garage. I have the big TV. I got the little TV. The little TV's gonna have the Bears game on. Big TV's gonna have the Iowa State game on.
How it should be.
Watching Matthias slowly decipher the world around him is in real time is a treat. Matthias says, if Rocco's mom was offering you a clone code, would you? Yes, I would. Play the Matthias deck. Yeah, the thing just keeps the.
Do we have that on hand?
I don't because yeah. Why would I keep that?
Right. Yeah, totally.
If you you could probably go to the general chat of the nope, not there. Nobody's posted it. Say general chat of the Discord, you'd probably find somebody who's posting the GIF right now. And now that I said that, it's gonna be all over the place. Son of a bitch. Brought this on myself. It's the gift that never ends. Yes, exactly. The gift that never ends. I need to mute this conversation on Discord. Ding, ding, ding. So close by 1 million. Got it?
Yep. Log it in.
Let's see what else we got going on here. Anybody else say anything before we wrap this thing up? And no, it's not.
Once.
Well,
twice.
We got Iowa State playing at BYU, 9:15 p.m. kick. Everybody make sure you skip the coffee and go straight to Busch Lattes. And our game recap will be out at 1 a.m. in the morning like it was against UNLV. So should be a
Thanks
good
for
time.
having me on. Appreciate this.
I like how you just told me thanks, like you're thanking me when you're still technically a part of Wide Right Natty Light.
Well, you know, just want to thank you.
That felt kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie. It's just like, yeah, well, I don't know. Again, Nate Schuster's on next week, you know, because screw Aiden, because he can only give me one day out of 2 weeks. I asked for both. He said, "No, I can give you one." I'm like, "You motherfucker."
You gave me an or option. I think
probably did. I don't remember. That was like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But now that I know the real reason why there was an or option, it's all good. Trader. Yeah. See? Aiden is the one pump jump.
Hey, that's not very
Levi,
nice.
do you have any booze on this plane? Like, are you drinking on the plane? Aiden Wyatt making things weird since 1999.
I ain't that old. 19.
Yeah. Weren't you born in 2000?
01.
Oh, my God. Thanks, Matthias. Thank you. What? Oh, in general chat now. Let's look. Son of a bitch. There it is. You're goddamn. What are you drinking before I wrap this up? If I've got to make fun of you, I got to,
Why? Okay, Levi keeps commenting, but he's giving us like one piece of information at a time. We need to just rapid fire here.
It's he's over Canada right now. The internet lacks.
So he forgets how to type.
What? Yeah. Bloody Mary. Okay, I read that right. He's gone from the child producer to a child.
I don't have any kids.
FYI. First, before I put this on the screen, I really had to double read that.
You see child P, and there's not many things.
Let's take a step back here and assess the situation before we put this live on the air. Yeah, child P. No. He's saying child producer that he knows of.
No comment.
All right. Well, for myself and Aiden's return and disappearance of Aiden's career flashed before his eyes. Aiden informed me that he might be back sometime again. We don't know when, just sometime. And we'll get this shit rolling again. So for myself and Aiden, kill Cyclones and fuck the Cougars.
All right.
Shit, I really screwed that up.
Oh my God.
Let's try that again. Fuck the Cougars.